Daffodils by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth 1770 to 1850 is one of the major poets of his time. He was honored as England's poet laureate. He defined poetry as spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling. So according to the poet, poetry is sudden overflow of feelings, powerful feelings arising from the emotions recollected in tranquility. So what does tranquility means? Recollected in calm mind. Okay. He is a poet of nature and used common words to express his feelings. So he used very simple word to express his feelings. This poet incorporates the idea and aspects essential to romantic poetry. The field of daffodils is evidently the subject of this poem, making nature the most apparent feature throughout. So this this poem aims on the daffodils. Wordsworth adds a range of natural images. So he adds a range of natural images like lakes, trees, stars, clouds in this poem. Through nature, a tranquil mood is instantly created from the very first line. So from the nature, a calm mood is instantly created when we hear the first line. So what is the first line? I wander lonely as the cloud. The atmosphere of this poem is very peaceful and the use of nature creates a joyful setting. Now, until the poet later muses about what he saw, does he fully appreciate the cheerful sights of dancing daffodils? Study the poem and note. I wander lonely as the cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake and beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So what does the poet says in the first stanza? I wander lonely as a cloud. So here he says that he was wandering or randomly moving as lonely as a cloud. Without any aim, he was just roaming, just like a cloud roams or floats over high valleys or hills. When at once, while randomly moving or roaming, the poet at once saw a crowd. Which crowd? A host of golden daffodils. He saw a very large number of golden daffodils, which was located beside the lake, at the side of lake and under the trees, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So why fluttering and dancing in the breeze? Does daffodils really dance? No. As the wind was blowing, so the daffodils appeared to and fro movement, which he says that they were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So in the second stanza, the poet says, continues as the star that shines and twinkles on the Milky Way, they stretched in the never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 I saw at a glance, tossing their head in sprightly dance. So what does the poet says here? That the daffodils were shining continuously as stars that twinkle on the Milky Way. So as the daffodils are the yellowish golden flower which shines when the sunlight falls on them, they make a bright shine. So the poet compares them with the stars that shine on the Milky Way galaxy. They stretched in the never-ending line along the margin of the bay. So what does he say? He says that the daffodils were stretched in the never-ending line. They were very large in number. In the next point he says, 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their head in sprightly dance. So what he says in this stanza, he says that he saw 10,000 daffodils at a glance. So is it possible to see 10,000 daffodils at a glance? Can a human count that there were 10,000 daffodils when he took a glance of it? No. So it is probably a hyperbola. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. So in this stanza, the writer says that the waves beside the daffodils too danced, but the daffodils dance so cheerfully, so joyfully, that they outbreak or they surpass the dance of the waves. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. So a poet cannot be anything but can be happy in such a cheerful and joyful company. Then again what the poet says, I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. So what does the poet says here? That he continuously go on staring and staring at the daffodils. Then he thought for a while, what wealth has the daffodils, has the image brought to me? For often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in a pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dance with the daffodils. So what does the poet say in this stanza? The poet says that when the poet lies upon his sofa or on his couch in a vacant or in a thoughtful mood, in a vacant means without any thought, in leisure, or in a pensive mood, pensive means in a thoughtful mood, then the image of daffodils flashes upon his inward eye. Inward eye means in its mind. The poet thinks of that true image, that the true joy he felt when he saw the daffodils. And then after imagining the daffodils dancing, his heart fills with pleasure and he also starts dancing with the daffodils in his mind. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.